Surprise bill? Need fast funds? CashNet USA can help. When you need money fast, be the hero.
Apply in minutes at cashnetusa.com and get a fast decision. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times.
Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser transforms your space, creating your perfect ambiance with a wide range of inviting fragrances that make your guests go, oh. Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser's easy-to-change refills allow you to choose your perfect fragrance for any occasion, like lush honeysuckle and raspberry, and vibrant island coconut and warm sands. And if guests start shifting from the table to the couches, no worries. It's perfectly portable and cordless. Airwick Essential Mist Diffuser, always inviting.
You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while squeeing about badger people and their pronouns.
Gonna love what we love, do it out loud. Stack our shelves with the clinches out. Shout it from the rooftop, can you hear the sound? Yeah. Live your best life, love it out loud. Love it out loud.
Hey HBs, welcome back for part 2. Before we get into it though, I've got some amazing patrons to shout out. So here's a huge thank you to Anna W., Annika, Danielle, Lauren H., Colette, Allison M., and Krista G. Now, when we left off yesterday, Istvan and Clara had arrived at Moorstone, the city in which her sisters are rumored to be held captive, and they've enlisted the help of the Temple of the White Rat, the fixers in this universe. They also can't stop thinking about that kiss forever ago, and they're a little distracted with all these pants feelings, and they respect each other so much, and yet they're both convinced the other could never be into them in a meaningful way. But thankfully, we've got a mystery to solve and some nuns to save, so I'm hoping they figure it all out along the way. Let's jump in. So it's decided that the White Rat is going to take over finding intel on bear women. And they are going to do some drunken questioning about smooth men.
Well, because they hear some rumors about, they've heard some rumors about the Beast of Leeward. And so she realizes sitting there, watching him holding this toad, talking to Ethan, that ultimately, even if he's interested in her, which it seems that he is, right?
Yeah.
He's a paladin. And you don't make somebody with strong faith choose between their god and you, because a human will never win.
And it's cruel.
Yes. And I loved that idea because it's not just between their god and them, right? It's it's whatever a person's main priority is. If you truly care about that person, you recognize that that is important to them.
Yeah.
And that is a key part of what makes them who they are.
Right.
And you don't ask them to make that choice because it's cruel and you're not gonna win.
If you can't support them, then you should just bow out gracefully.
And so she realizes okay, I need to get us on track because if I just try to distract him, it's not going to work. And also he's going to just run off with a hair up his ass and he's going to die. That's what's going to happen here. And so we're going to do this productively.
Yes. Because during this conversation with the amphibian lover, Brother Ethan,
the amphibian lover.
The amphibian lover, yes, because this is important. He has jars all over his house because the amphibians need wet places to live, right?
I love that you were like, I'm not gonna remember this guy's name, so nope. He's Amphibian the frog boy. Man.
Yes, that's right. But like, don't forget the newts. You know what I mean? Don't put him in a box.
Oh, but boy, he loves a toad.
Oh, God loves a toad.
Maud is his lady. You know,
little Beeb. Yeah,
she is a toad the size of a small dog. And she looks constantly disgruntled.
Of course.
And
that's just how her face is made.
Yeah, it's just how her face is made. You know, some of us are born with resting disgruntled face.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason I bring this up is because Brother Ethan is like, oh yeah, people are great with ceramics over here. There's like a crazy talented ceramic guy over on that side of the river. Because there's so much clay and like that's like one of the main crafts and exports. And so they're like, interesting, because that's smooth. You know, like who knows? I don't know, maybe.
Men are ceramic boys. You know?
So they decide to go on look, it's a bar hop. They go on an intel bar hop where they try to find out like information from people by just asking about like the Beast of Leland and like other bullshit, right? And so they end up at like the last place. They end up finding out that there is a potter who was like incredibly talented and kind of a weirdo, and nobody's seen him in a while. And that's like crazy because like he was so well known. And so as they're going out, another guy comes up to them and he's like, wait, hold on. I have a story you're not going to believe, but I'm sober right now. I was sober then, and my son-in-law saw it too. So I'm just going to tell you my story and you can do what you want with it. So he tells them that when he was doing deliveries in like a neighborhood nearby by the river, he was in the woods, I think peeing or something.
I was not
And then he heard a rustle.
I was not okay about this description, Melody.
So do you have the description that you can read then?
Absolutely not.
Fair enough. We all have our boundaries.
Absolutely not. I am drawing a line in this sand.
I hear you. Do you notice I didn't threaten you about this one?
Yeah, if you did, sucks to suck. I guess it's the end of the podcast. We had a good fucking run of it.
So he says that he hears like a rustle. And then all of a sudden, this thing with too many legs that's like broken on one side, it starts like shuffling toward him. And then as it comes through the bushes, he sees a head in the center top of it. And so he starts running, and then the thing starts galumphing after him even faster to try and get him.
I think I have to take off.
Do you want me to call you back in when I'm done? So he manages to jump on that wagon, and the last image he remembers is just this like broken spider creature with a giant head looking after him in the middle of the road. And he's like, I've never seen anything like it before or since, but it haunts my nightmares and nobody believes me. And they're like, oh, we super believe you. Tell me about that thing on the top in the middle. And he's like, yeah, it was weird. It was like so smooth, and other descriptors that are very ceramic. And they're like, oh, boy.
It was so smooth and so man.
And boy, big mouth on it. And so they're like, okay, we have to talk to that potter that's like prolific in this area.
Oh my God. And then we meet one of the most tragic characters.
Saddest, most broken men.
So his name's, I don't know, how do you pronounce it? Stakis? They get to his house, and they knock on the door, and this man opens the door, and he's very scattered. It's hard for him to put thoughts together and stick to the same topic.
Mm-hmm. And he says, oh my gosh, I should offer you tea. Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've had like a real living visitor. that I forgot my manners. I have to get you some refreshments.
Are you here about him?
Yes.
And they're like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we are. Actually, we're here
Tell us
to
more
discuss
about that.
him. And
What?
this conversation was very it was very reminiscent to me of like speaking to like my grandmother with Alzheimer's or dementia and things like that, where it's just
well, and head trauma victims of a certain flavor.
Yeah, I like this brought back explicit memories with my grandmother, but like we find out that he is a very skilled ceramicist, and he created a bust.
Well, because he asks them, do you know that story about the artist of some sort that brought his creation to life with love?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yes.
Yeah. And he brought his creation to life.
He says he loved this bust so hard that it came to life. It's his progeny. Something
has come up, like, in last book and this book, this idea of wonder workers and in this universe, wonder workers are people who have some form of magic, right?
They can do small magics. They're very specific.
Like last book, there was a guy, or maybe it was this book, I don't remember, but like, for example, his wonder work is that he can heat up small bits of liquid, right?
Yeah.
So like it would take like an hour to do a kettle, but like his cup of tea will never get cold, and he can warm up your cup of tea. And it's like just little things. And there's this idea,
but they're also side-eyed really hard. People are very suspicious of wonder workers and like think that they could be dangerous.
Well, yeah, because
so a lot of times they're ostracized.
Well, they're unexplainable. It's just whatever. But there's this idea that everyone is a wonder worker. It's just that the likelihood of you finding out what your wonder work is out of the millions and billions of possible things that you could do with your life, the likelihood of you figuring out what it is very low. And so I love that idea, because I find a lot of comfort in the idea that there's like, we're all exceptional at something, and it's just a matter of like, there's something out there. Right.
Yeah.
And
recognizing
might
it,
not
cultivating it.
No. Yeah. You might never
the variables might not come together. Like you may not ever be on a boat and you have a boat-related wonder work.
Yeah.
And so you would never find out.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the idea that like his wonder work is ceramics. And in this way, because he was so lonely, everybody thought he was a weirdo, and he is a weirdo, right? But like he wanted somebody to love him and accept him, and he wanted somebody to give that love back too. And so through this love during his creation process, this bust comes to life.
Well, and very importantly, he creates extremely realistic creations.
Oh, he's talented AF.
Like, so we keep describing these as smooth men and things like that, and it's true, but they are also extremely lifelike. It's just that they're too smooth to be real, is the whole idea. But like, other than that's a human face. Like they are able to move through society, and people just don't really look at them twice, right?
Yeah.
So he
does such incredible creations that they don't notice that his arms are made of clay now.
Yeah. So it turns out
arms from the fucking elbow down.
His creation was not, he tried to create a body for his creation because his creation was unhappy with not having a body.
Yeah, it wants to move around.
And it didn't work. It wasn't effective. And then how did he end up getting to the goat lady?
I don't remember.
Okay. Long story short, he ends up ending up finding a neighbor and getting himself attached to her.
A goat carcass. Yeah. So he brings a goat carcass home, and then he puts the bust on there, and all of a sudden
that's
the corpse
what it was.
Animates it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he animates the corpse, and then he leaves, and that's probably when that old man saw the creepiest thing that ever happened, and I literally had a nightmare about it.
Sure.
And then he's gone for a couple of weeks, or like a couple of days, and then when he comes back, he's on the goat lady's body. Her head is gone. And like, it's not explicitly stated. So much of this whole thing that we're describing to you right now is reading between the lines of what has happened, because like literally all Stakis says is he left and then came back with a better body,
right?
And she was so nice, the lady with the goats, and it's like, fuck. And he's like, but I loved him, and so he asked me to do things. He wanted more of his kind, and so
we got lonely.
I made a head, and I understand being lonely, and so I agreed to it.
But all of the rest of them were wrong. None of the other ones could talk, and they just weren't good enough. And his love, he calls it love, his love got more and more and more and more frustrated and more demanding, and wanted. So he makes like a bunch of iterations of this, like molds for this head, so that they can be mass produced at a different time. That wasn't his intention, but that's what ends up happening, is that he makes all of these molds for new heads, and none of them can speak. None of them seem to have like any higher functioning. And so his creation is really, really mad and keeps on being an asshole. And then Stakis says, and then that last one just wasn't right. And I think it's because I was angry when I was making it. And then that thread gets dropped. And then they look at his hands and realize that they're made of clay.
Well, because he says, my love got so mad, and so he tried to take my hands to do it himself, but it didn't work. And that's when his hands are ceramic.
And now he can't make any more ceramics. Like the wonderwork is gone because the hands were severed from his body.
Oh, it was distressing.
It's yikes. So the understanding is that they noticed like tracks outside. It was clear that this guy had been like sort of guarded, but they're not sure why. And they read between the lines of like, I haven't had any living visitors. And they realize that he has been sequestered by his creation. And then it fucked off and has been, snatching bodies ever since. So they're like, oh, fuck, okay. And as they leave, they're like, we got to kill this guy, right? Like, we have to kill him? And they're both like, oh, he's so sad, though. Like, he created something that turned into a murderous abomination kind of thing, but there's no intent there at all. And it feels really terrible to kill somebody so defenseless and so confused. And so neither of them can do it.
Yeah, so they get back to the temple. Before they get to the temple, though, they do end up in a fight. They end up getting attacked by a bunch of smooth men.
So the poor thing, she bears out, but bear olfactory senses are way better than humans' is.
To be clear, listener, this bear is not her. These are two souls.
Yes.
In one shifting body.
And they can chat, but like they can't exert their will over the other one.
The bear, well, they can to an extent. Like she
to
can,
an extent, yes.
When it's calm, the bear has to. Everyone needs to be calm.
Yeah.
And then this bear does a big chomp out of this smooth man and listener. To be clear,
goo comes out.
These are rotting corpses. Like they have to switch bodies on the regular in order to stay alive or like functioning.
And the goo is the thing that makes it smell worse than death. Like the goo is the secret ingredient that like makes it extra wrong. And so this poor bear bites into this thing, breaks the ceramic, and then it's just inundated. It's like a skunk spray all over it. And it's that like, bear, not today, Satan. Absolutely
that bear fucked
not.
Around, that bear found out, and that bear said, not today.
And it just goes running. And she's like, oh my God. And so up until this point, we've been getting these like little comments about how some nuns go bear and never go back sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh my God, this is the moment. This is the moment that I can never get control of the bear again. I'm just a bear now.
Yeah. And then he is fighting and he lets his black tide rise.
Yeah.
And he takes everything out. And then when he comes back to, because basically the way it's described is like time slows down and everything moves super slow, but you're also not completely in control of what you're doing. Like it's just...
The black tide is also in your head narrating what you should do. So if the berserkers get in like any kind of weird situation, the black tide will start being like, okay, the exits are over there. And like, if you break the leg off of this chair and swing to the right, like you can get this guy and then like break the other one's knee. Like they're always planning out sort of like Jason Bourne style what's happening around them. And then it slows everything down. So they're like extra strong. They're extra fast. And they can telegraph other people's movements.
Oh, and it's so rough because, like, when the god was alive, they came out of it, and the god took care of a lot of the aches and the pains and the challenges, because, like, they pushed their body to its limits. Like, the absolute full adrenaline, like, they have extra strength. That it is their physical body, but it is the absolute limit of what it is capable of doing.
Absolutely.
And so like it reminds me of like when people with adrenaline like lift cars or like stuff like that. It's like operating on that level for a consistent amount of time. But now that the god's gone, when they come out of a black tide, they're just middle-aged.
They've still got 37-year-old knees, okay?
They're like, wow, I think I threw my back out by picking up all three of those dudes and throwing them across the river, you know? And like,
I'm creaky again. Oh, no.
Surprise, Bill? Need fast funds? CashNet USA can help. When you need money fast, be the hero.
Apply in minutes at cashnetusa.com and get a fast decision. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times.
When you're on the go and it's time to refresh your energy, grab an ice-cold Celsius. Where zero sugar, 7 essential vitamins, and proven ingredients meets pure refreshment. Unlike traditional energy drinks, each sip of Celsius is a perfect balance of flavor and function. So whether you're hitting the gym, the office, or your next adventure, grab a Celsius at your local retailer or visit Celsius.com to learn more.
Everybody sleeps, but no two people sleep alike. At Coop Sleep Goods, we celebrate the way you sleep differently. We believe everyone deserves a great night's sleep with their own pillow. And the adjustable, customizable Coop pillow makes it easy. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or even a starfish, we've got the perfect pillow for you. Crafted with our innovative memory foam and microfiber fill, our hypoallergenic pillows adjust to you, not the other way around. Just tailor the fill for the perfect fit. Add some in, take some out, until your pillow's just right for you. See why luxury hotels and spas worldwide feature Coop Sleep Goods and why we have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. With our 100-night risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose, except those sleepless nights. Get 25% off your first order when you visit coopsleepgoods.com/comedy. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/comedy.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
So she feels terrible because she's like, holy fuck, the bear abandoned him. What if he's dead? And if he's not dead, what if he's super fucking pissed like he should be because I abandoned him on a battlefield against like supernatural beings? That's a fucked up thing to do. But she manages to calm the bear down just enough to get it like out of the tree it's in. And they meet back up and she apologizes profusely. And he's like, no, it's totally, I completely understand. Like, if anybody understands the entity within you taking over, it's a berserker of the Saint of Steel. you know?
Mhm.
Like, I totally understand. And then, listener, he does the sexiest thing he could ever do for Clara, okay? Because throughout this whole book, she has been having to mend clothes left and right, okay? At this point, she's basically in rags. Like, every time she bears out unexpectedly, if she can't get naked first, you know, she rips all her clothes apart, and then they have to put them back together somehow. And so, apropos of nothing, she says nothing. He grabs his bag, reaches in, and takes out, like, a new outfit for her.
It's a cloak.
And she's like, what? Yeah. And she's like, what? What is this? And he's like, well, you know, I hang out with a lady who fucks up her clothes a lot. So I figured I've got room. I'll just bring some extras for you. And she's like, is this what being cared for feels like? Oh, no. Oh, no.
I swooned.
Yeah.
So hard. Istvan is so swoony.
And, like, to be clear, this is another example of the bar being in hell for
so
men.
Low. Like, the bar is so low, and they bring shovels, you know?
Right.
But it's on the ground, and they're like, oh, yeah, I can dig.
Yeah. Anyway, now do you want to talk about a sex scene?
Not yet.
No, we don't have a sex scene right now.
So they get back to the temple, and then they get together a crew because they immediately believe them. And so they're on their way back, and Stakis is gone. Like, he was taken. Because they sent somebody out before they all could get there fast enough. And so they sent one guy to go keep an eye on it to kind of get the lay of the land. And he saw a bunch of creepy, not right, smooth dudes.
Yeah, some of the later creations, right?
And it turns out the smooth people walked up to one of the dead heads.
Yeah.
And scooped out some of that goop and licked it right up.
Ate it.
Off their hands.
Uh-huh. And then they, like, stared off in the middle distance for a moment, and then they immediately knew what they had to do.
Hate that.
Hate it so much. Especially since we know, like, how nasty it is.
Yeah.
You know? Blah.
So they have a mind mender with them, and a mind mender is basically, you know, psychiatrist, therapist. It's like somebody with, like, training in handling maladies of the mind.
It's a wonder worker of mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she says the healer shook her head and says, from what you've said, it sounds like this creation of his has some significant hold over him. Fear, love, both perhaps. Love? For the creature that cut off his hands? The apprentice's voice actually cracked on the last word, and Istvan felt himself age several subjective decades. People, said the healer, giving the young man a look that told Istvan that he wasn't the only one feeling suddenly old, are rarely straightforward, and they will accept terrible injury from people they love and tell themselves that the depths of the pain proves the depth of their love. And eventually, they'll stop being surprised. And it was... Ooh.
That's a full body chills moment.
Yeah.
In the book.
Yeah.
You know?
It immediately made me think of the conversations that you and I had during the Chef Boy, the Enemies to Lovers Chef Kid book.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, I don't know if you have a tag for this, Sabrina. But this was...
If I don't, I do now, apparently. Continue.
I mean, who knows, right? This is such a classic example of elder abuse, you know, in our world. And
yeah,
it's just so sad, you know. Stakis is such a tragic figure, and I think that he's been in an abusive relationship with his creation from basically the beginning.
And we didn't mention this, but the creation attacked him at one point. And that's how they found out he could reanimate flesh basically, because he literally took a chunk out of Stakis's head and caused irreparable physical damage to his brain. And this is a big reason. Like, he's always been a little scattered. He's always been, like, the artistic type. He's always been whatever. And it's now officially, like, he
gets a traumatic brain injury. He's got, like, literally a chunk taken out of his skull. Mm-hmm. And he ended up, like, healing from it and being, mostly okay. But it didn't help any of his
Some of his cognitive reasoning is challenged. Like, it's just, life is harder now, is what it is. And this creature, his creation, takes advantage of it very, very clearly.
Mm-hmm. So they find out that, like, all the smooth men who abducted him, because the guy's like, hey, he was being like, where am I going? Let me go. Are you taking me to him? Is he mad at me? Like, he's saying all these things as they're hauling him away. And they end up taking him on a boat, and they don't know where he went from there. But he's got a pretty good guess, and one of those guesses is the Colosseum. And then another person is like, oh, that's interesting, because that's also where the nuns are. We found out. Mm-hmm. They were trafficked to be gladiators in this Colosseum game of doom and awful. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like their paths are crossing again, because where Stakis goes, there's a really good chance that the creation is there, and he's protecting him.
And then, listener, we have a hard zippy zap to one of the sexiest things. Yeah. They get back to the place, they get all showered up and clean, and then they're exhausted, but they're in their room, and he gives her a massage. He says, hey, babe. Or he doesn't say babe. He's like, hey, Domina. Hey, girl. Domina. Come on over here and I'll rest you. I'll rub out those weary muscles. Rest your weary bones between my legs. Then he set his thumbs on either side of her spine and began to massage the muscles there, sliding farther down until the tension in her neck was gone and had been replaced with a rather more urgent tension, a good deal lower. He leaned forward and kissed the back of her neck, and she closed her eyes. Tell me what you are thinking, Domina, he said against her hair. Tell me so I don't guess wrong. And she's thinking, I'm thinking I'm in love with you, you absurdly decent man. I have fallen in love, and it's worse than it ever was before, because you know what I am. You could be my lover and my partner, and we could be so good together, and when you finally walk away, it will destroy me.
Yeah.
But they don't say anything. And then they do have, like, a really, like, a hot makeout and, like, a hot smoochy time. And then, knock. Oh my God, we're being raided.
And you have to help me get all the newts to a safe place, he says, Brother Ethan. We got to get these frogs and toads and newts, and maybe even the salamander too. We got to get them all, and they have to be safe. Oh my God.
We're in an alley outside, and, well, she said, here we are.
Huh.
Indeed. Frustrated and covered in newts. A gusty sigh came from the shadow. I try to be a considerate lover, Domina, said Istvan in the tones of a man confessing to a great crime. I work very hard at it. I would give you pleasure a dozen times over before I took mine. It's a matter of craftsmanship. Said Clara. But I am starting to think that the gods are trying to keep us apart.
Yeah.
He peered around the corner of the alley. I've been getting that impression, Clara said. If we aren't being attacked, we're rescuing wayward amphibians. We couldn't very well leave them. No, we couldn't, but I'll be honest, Domina. At this point, I would take you up against this wall, right here, if it wasn't for the newts, and craftsmanship be damned. She began laughing. She couldn't help it. And if it wasn't for the newts, I'd let you do it.
Yeah.
This is getting absurd. And then I want you very, very badly, Domina. His eyes were deep and dark, and the heat in them was enough to make her forget that her back was soggy with newt water.
Yeah.
My dear captain, the feeling is mutual. His breath quickened. Do you suppose if we put down the jars, we could... Ethan burst out of the door. I found them! And I was like... No! I love that he's like, I'm an artista of the body.
Yeah.
But my God, sometimes you just gotta throw paint at the wall. Like,
yeah.
There's no realism here, okay? Let's just fucking go. And then it's just like, found the frog.
So, all right. So then they end up at a safe house.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a new lady who puts them in different rooms. And she is like, okay, he's going to knock tonight though, right? Like he has... No, I'm skipping a ton.
Excuse you. They get there. And she is covered in newt water. And she's like, I need to use the restroom.
The bath.
And he's like, me too. Newts. Yep. And so then they go into that washroom.
Yeah.
And they get in there. And he's like, okay, I think now is the time. I don't want to do this in a bathroom, but like also like I think I have to. And she turns around and she says, take me before I lose my nerve and we're covered in salamanders again or somebody shows up wanting a fight. And he's like, yeah, let's fucking go. I can make a washroom work. And then they fuck it out in that bathroom. They break a wash basin when he puts her over it. And he is so into it because something broke loose inside him.
Yeah.
He didn't have to worry about frightening her. She could tear him in half if she wanted. Istvan gave himself up to the moment and like they just...
It's the first time he can let loose for real. He can lose himself in this intimacy in a way that he's never been able to before.
And then they break the wash basin that she's leaning over. And you see that Istvan held her up with both arms and, well, his cock felt load-bearing at the moment. But it probably wasn't. And then she just laughs and turns around and now they're face to face and she's like, come here, you big lug. And then they go back to having sex. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Afterwards, he's like, I think I need to reassure her a little bit. This is when the reassurances are necessary in general. And she's like, she pretends, acts like she doesn't need it. They're interrupted. And so then she's alone in her room that night and she's second guessing the whole thing. And she's feeling trapped in her little room and the bear's not happy about it. And it's just, it's a whole thing. And then she leaves to like go and then she hears him coming down the hall and a little knock knock. And then
Domina?
Domina? Yeah, because he calls her
Domina.
And knock knock and she's like, I'm here. And he's like, oh, thank God. And then he like comes up and he's like, I didn't want to be apart from you.
Can I have my post-sex snuggles now?
Yeah.
Can we do a big snuggle together until the morning light? And she's like, yeah, totally. And then in the morning, boy, he's all up in that lady flesh.
Istvan woke for the second time that month with his head buried in someone's cleavage. Unlike the first time, he knew exactly where he was and who he was with. Admittedly, she was still a nun, but that didn't seem to matter nearly as much as it used to. This is a very fine way to wake up. I could get used to this. And I have never felt more seen than Clara in this moment saying, are you all right down there? And he said, I'm having a moment. And she says, yes, I see that. Can you breathe? And he says, air is for the weak.
That's right.
And then she laughs and says, well, as long as you're enjoying them. And he says, they're glorious beyond measure. And then she says, I'm glad someone likes them.
That's
they
right.
make it very hard to run, and my back usually hurts. And I was like, Domina Clara.
That's right.
You are so real for that. And then he is hilarious.
Yeah, he's going to take care of it for her.
He says, I don't want you to be in pain.
Oh.
I shall go everywhere in front of you and hold them up for you to spare your back.
That's right. From now on, I'm the paladin of your chest. So now it's time. Look, we got to do a whole heist, okay? They have to break into the Colosseum, and we have to sort of motor through it, but I just need you to know that it is no less than, I feel like, 18 chapters of amazing.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And I sobbed toward the end with Sister Sigrid. Like, mess. Big mess.
The end of this book was just a whole mess, like, inside of my heart, because they get there and basically, like, I'm gonna skip us through unless you want to skip us through.
Sure.
Go
ahead.
The end, like the smooth men.
Yeah, they come up with a ruse for both of them. So they come up with, he is going to basically, like, get arrested and become a gladiator, and
that's not the intention, but that is what happens.
Oh, tell them the intention.
So the intention is they go in with it's easy to get in, but it's not easy to get out. And so the idea is that they'll get in, and then he'll figure out a way out because the water is too cold for them to swim, but everybody else is bears, so they'll be able to just go to the water and swim out. Also, of note, he has a fear. I felt very seen by Isfin.
Yeah.
Because he has a fear of dark, still, deep water.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, boy.
Hey.
Me too. Hey, what's up? And so they get there, and then they successfully make their way down to, like, the dungeon area, and then they're just leaving bodies because at this point there's nothing else they can do.
Yeah, and she's like, do you want to be a little subtle about it? And he's like, if you have any ideas, sure. And they try it her way, and he's finally like, do you want me to just slit his throat? And she's like, fucking fine. Go ahead.
There's also hilariously, in both books so far, there's this, like, a stereotype that berserkers just gnaw on their shields constantly.
Yeah.
And, like, at one point, she's like, I somehow thought you had experience with stealth missions. And he says, Domina, I'm a berserker. And she says, perhaps you gnaw at your shield very quietly? And they're just so funny.
Surprise, Bill? Need fast funds? CashNet USA can help. When you need money fast, be the hero.
Apply in minutes at cashnetusa.com and get a fast decision. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times.
Everybody sleeps, but no two people sleep alike. At Coop Sleep Goods, we celebrate the way you sleep differently. We believe everyone deserves a great night's sleep with their own pillow. And the adjustable, customizable Coop pillow makes it easy. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or even a starfish, we've got the perfect pillow for you. Crafted with our innovative memory foam and microfiber fill, our hypoallergenic pillows adjust to you, not the other way around. Just tailor the fill for the perfect fit. Add some in, take some out, until your pillow's just right for you. See why luxury hotels and spas worldwide feature Coop Sleep Goods and why we have tens of thousands of five-star reviews. With our 100-night risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose. Except those sleepless nights. Get 25% off your first order when you visit coopsleepgoods.com/comedy. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/comedy.
And so he ends up getting caught. She hides, but there's nowhere for him to hide. And he's also a paladin. So, like, if he's going to fall, like, if anyone's going to fall on a sword, it's going to be him.
And they recognize him as a paladin. They're like, we've never had one of you in the ring. It's going to be so exciting. But they haven't recognized him as the specific paladin he is. So they haven't been like, oh, is Berserker, uh-oh. And then she gets in by being a cleaning lady. And while he's locked up, she finds her sisters. And it's like during a break, everybody's peeing or eating or whatever.
But then so she gets caught.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's like a hook to her back or something. And the guy's like, hey man, I was snuggling with a tiger a minute ago, but now I'm here. And so I'm going to unlock this and you're going to go in. And if you give me any trouble whatsoever, all of your sisters die or something. So she ends up getting caught too. She's stuck in with the sisters. She finds out like what happened to them over that time. And she reconnects specifically with like her basically like oldest sister, mentor, aunt, mother figure, Sister Sigrid. So the plan is that the bears are going to get tossed into the ring after an appetizer of Paladin. She doesn't know that yet, but like that's what Istvand deduces. So he gets put in the ring and they're like, bring on the dead dudes. And they're called Dragos or something.
Dragos.
Yeah. And so all of these like bloated, I drowned in the river corpses come in. And as he's fighting them, he realizes that like he might lop off an arm or a head even, and the rest of the body will still come for him. And nobody's been able to figure out how to kill these dudes.
Because they're essentially a necromancer. Like the guy, Antony, who these are his fighters, has a necromancer on staff. And then he does a specific kind of stab and hears a weird sound. He's like, that sounds like pottery breaking.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
That wasn't ribs
and
crunching.
The minute he hears it, the thing dies. It dies on him. And he's like, no. And so he like does some more fighting, and he's in the middle of the black tide, so he's trying to like fight that at the same time to be like, hey, I need to kind of do a little investigating. The black tide is like, but also like I could just kill the thing. And he's like, yeah, but like I have some questions.
I just want to take a quick peek at it before we smash it.
And it turns out these bodies are reanimated using that mold, that last one that
Stakis had really shot the bet on, okay? Stakis was not
wrong.
even trying at that point. It's a toddler head. It's like a baby head. It's like a shrunken head.
It's a creepy baby face that's like not quite right.
Yeah, it's a Chucky doll head is what it is.
Awful. But he does do the stab.
Oh, I'm sorry. And it's shoved into their torso somewhere. So as long as the head is like embedded in their flesh, it will animate the whole thing. It doesn't have to have a special ceramic head on it. And so that's how they've been just like taking dead gladiators and repurposing them as Dragos.
Just stick them in the river for a little while until they get bloaty and gross, and then stick a head on them and you have an endless army. Like, it's gross. And so
then, yeah, go ahead.
He beats the thing. And like all of them, and then they're like, okay, and now it's also so funny because he's like, maybe I should just have like an announcer follow me around because like this is kind of great because this guy's like bam 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 bam, and then they announce the bears, the Sisterhood of Saint Ursa, and he's like, they're not gonna show. I can't wait to see the look on these people's faces when they don't show up because they made it out. And then a crowd of 12 terrified women get shoved into the Colosseum.
Yeah. And so now it's supposed to be him, Paladin, them bears against army of Dragos. So they're supposed to be fighting on the same team. And they're like, I'm not shifting. We're not fighting. Like, because up until this point, they've been like, I'm not your dancing monkey. I'm not just going to shift for you because you told me to.
I love a crotchety old person, and there's a crotchety old nun bear lady who's like, we shouldn't do this. Like, it goes against what Sister the Abbess, whatever.
Right.
She didn't want us to change for people's entertainment.
Oh my God, Sabrina. It reminds me of that alligator lady from False Comeback.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
There's a whole passel of like super old alligator shifter ladies, and they're supposed to like put the smackdown on people. And this one lady is just like, I gotta finish this fucking blanket before I do anything else. So everyone else is like lizarding out, and she's just like, she's knitting as fast as she can, and finally she gets it done.
This is in
alligators.
The Goliaths of Wrestling series
by Lily Mayne.
Yeah.
Which we are both madly obsessed with, and we have many Patreon episodes on them because we couldn't stop reading them. Yeah. So anyway, they're like, okay, we don't want to do this, but also those corpses are going to try to kill us. And so they all bear out.
Yeah, and it's a whole fight. It's very well written. It's so distressing, though.
Yeah, up until this point, Claire has been like intermittently explaining bear stuff to him. And she's like, most of the time, I don't want, like, the bear doesn't want to fight at all. if the bear sees an escape route, that's what it's going to do instead of having a confrontation, no matter who the opponent is. And so there are a couple of times where like these juvenile bears are just trying to climb out of the ring, and Istvan luckily sees them. And because now he has this bond with Clara, his black tide is like, oh no, we protect bears is what we do. What?
He has to argue with that. The black tide wants to go for the bear, but he's able to talk it down.
Okay.
Like, because the black tide has seen enough bear now that it knows how to kill bear.
Yeah.
And like he's like, no.
Don't stab it in the foreleg.
That's not the
focus on the stinky ones is what we got to do. Anyway,
focus on the stinky one.
So he ends up like narrowly saving the life of a couple of bears, and I guess he's wrestling with himself the whole time, which is extra hot. And they end up murdering all of these Dragos.
Hey, listener, I don't know if you know this, but here at HBHQ, we have a type, and that type is tortured, you know?
It's a Sebastian, yeah. So, and before the fight started, he was like, you got to get him in the chest. There's a pot in there. You got to smash it. And so that's what the sisters are trying to do at the same time. They end up taking all of them out, and this is like an unprecedented event. For months now, Sir Anthony has nobody's been able to beat he and his dead army. So they like limp backstage in the Colosseum. All the nuns are naked still, if you'll recall. And then there's just like a group of people there. It's like medics and helpers, and like somebody's got a snack. And then all of a sudden, the one and only Sir Anthony comes down to congratulate them all. And he's like, wow. Oh, no.
Not Anthony, it's McLaren. It's
the one
McLaren.
That's yeah, it's the one that owned them, who paid the traffickers to get him bear women.
Yes.
So he's like, wow, congratulations, you took down Sir Anthony's thing, and like now I'm the big guy in this city, and you've done that for me, and like you should be proud of yourself. And all of them are standing there being like, did he forget that we're here under duress? Did he forget that like he ripped us from our lives?
Yeah,
and is forcing us to fight?
Yeah, and it was
the answer
really
is yes.
interesting. Well, it's not that he forgot. It's that the culture in this city is specific to where, like, we learn when he's talking to... So basically what happens is he takes that dude hostage. The bears get out of the area, and it's the animal area, which is where they were keeping them because they needed the cages to keep them,
right,
from leaving.
And it was one of the only places that had a big enough cell.
Yeah. And he has the hostage, but there's no good way for him to get out. Clara ends up setting loose all of the animals.
And so now there's just like mad tigers everywhere, and like
hilariously
a leopard.
Though they have to be convinced to, because they just got fed, man. They're like sleepy kitties right now.
Not to mention that like anytime the door opens and it's not food, then they have to go like fucking fight someone, and they're probably gonna get hurt. Like the cell is the safe place for them, and so she does have to cajole a few of them. But once they get out, they're a slashing, they're a biting.
So she ends up like. He ends up like in a cage, talking to the keeper, who would actually is the one who caught her.
Yeah.
And he's talking to him, and we find out that in this world, in this city, gladiators come from prisoners. And so if you bring the prisoners come in, and then if you keep winning, eventually you're top dog, right?
You're treated really
money,
well.
You have
better accommodations.
Sex.
They'll bring you sex workers. They'll bring you all the good food. And so in his mind, he's thinking, oh, this is great. They're going to be so excited to like get the fancy stuff. Not recalling that like there is a life outside of this Colosseum that could be more enticing. Freedom is something that they want more.
What it is that the shipbreaker McLaren, a prisoner is a prisoner. It doesn't matter why you are a prisoner. It doesn't matter if you broke 1% law to be prisoner. This person is prisoner, and it doesn't
Everybody
matter.
Else is cattle.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're prisoner because I kidnapped them, or because they broke a law. Or we just decided that you're a prisoner now.
Yeah. So all the nuns leave, right? Clara's like, get down to the base level where the river is. And she comes back for Istvan. And he's thinking like, thank God the nuns are away. And then he sees her. And she's like, what are you doing? Get out of the cell. Let's go. And he's like, oh my God, she came back for me. She sees that animal keeper and like makes some mean eyes at him. And he's like, hey man, I'm sorry. I've got a granddaughter. Please go. Like, they can't connect me to your escape now. So like, this won't come back on me. I would love for you to go. I didn't do anything because I thought it was right, is what he says.
I loved, like, it was wrenching.
Yeah. Yeah. So now it's time to get down to the base level. It's hard to do, okay? Wow, they got to talk to a lot of people. They got to go places. They got to knock some shit out. They got to talk to a very efficient manager, okay?
Listener.
This manager, they're like, please, like, why don't you go hide in the closet with all your people?
He's like, we have some stuff to take care of. And like any good manager, she left when she realized it was a problem that was not her problem.
Incredible
and I was
stuff.
Like, that is such a mood.
So then they go and Clara's like, okay, everybody shift into bear form and jump in that river, swim downstream. There's going to be a bonfire where the people of the White Rat are going to meet you and get you out. It does not matter if I don't make it, just go. And so...
Well, they're all going to leave, all of the bear ladies. There's only 3 of them left. There's Sigrid, that crotchety old woman that we love, and Clara. And they're like, okay, we need to figure out how to get you out. And he's like, I'm not going out. The smooth man is here, and I have to go take care of that. And so Clara...
also, I would probably die of hypothermia, and I wouldn't be able to swim for long enough to like do... I'm not a bear, is what he says to her. And then Sigrid says, all right, Clara, you go. I'll go with him. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? Sigrid has a broken leg. And so, what?
He is looking at her. They're all ready to go, and he says... Go with your sisters. Get them out. Your part is done. Her eyes were full of anguish. Go. They won't keep the beacon lit once your sisters start to arrive. You don't have any time. And then she looked behind her. You belong with them, not me, said Istvan desperately. You know you do. For a moment, he thought she was listening. She half turned away and then... Well, that's a load of horse shit if I've ever heard one, said Sister Sigrid and slapped him upside the head. And so, like, Sister Sigrid is like, you guys are so in love that it's sickeningly obvious.
Yeah, gross.
And also, on top of that, like, I can't swim, so because my leg is broken. And so we're going to go find your smooth man, all of us together. And because we're going to be stronger together than we are, blah, blah, blah. And so they make it back up all through the thing. And then they finally get to where they can smell a funk. And they open that door. And it is the head honcho smooth man is standing in the middle of this
rows and rows of bodies. Just rows of bodies. And he's like, oh, you guys gave me just enough time to put all of my kin in there.
And then off in a corner, they see Stakis.
Oh.
And he's trapped by, like, he's being watched over by 2 other smooth men, some of the non-talky ones. And it's...
So then we get a villain monologue for the ages, right?
Oh God, it's so distressing, too.
Oh my God. He has pickled his body. He salted it. He salt preserved his corpse, so he only has to change his body like once a year.
Heinous.
Oh, God. Yeah, so he's like, this is the perfect racket for me. I can mass produce these little baby heads, put them in all these corpses, and then we're going to find places to, like, live and be a family and a community.
Well, because they're like, you let all of your people go. And he's like, well, yeah, we're a species now as well. And we deserve to live just as much as you do. Like, they had to go find someplace safe.
He's like, isn't, I forget, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that your people also went out and claimed land and found places to live. It just so happens that my kind is naturally parasitic. Right. And so, yeah. And I mean, and what a critique on Manifest Destiny, you know, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Like, you love it when it's you. hate it when it's done to you.
This entire, both books so far, it's like, fuck, there's some commentary in here.
So much commentary.
Know? And it's so sad, though, because Stakis is watching all of this happen. And I didn't write down the quote because I couldn't. It hurt too much.
I know.
Because he
keeps on interjecting every once in a while. And he'll be like, love, no, that's wrong. And he's talking to it like you would a precious child. That's what this being is to him. And and then the being is like, shut up, you're useless anyway.
And he's like, I don't know how anyone can have children because, like, I am responsible for everything that my creation has done. And it's rough. And finally, they've kind of touched on this idea that because he's a wonder worker, if he dies, everything his that magic came from his magic, it's dead as well. And so he stands up and he looks
Wait, I'm so sorry. The one thing that's very important is that he sends the corpses at them. But 3 of her sisters died in that arena. Yeah. And so he appropriated their corpses too. And neither of the nuns can hurt these precious, wonderful baby sisters, you know?
Yeah.
And so
like, I'll do what paladins
they both break down.
Like, I'm gonna take care of them because these ladies won't be able to kill their sisters. Like, that's wrong to ask of them.
Right. It's a bridge too far. And then, Stakis gets up and throws himself at Istvand. And I loved this.
It
was very reminiscent. Yes, it was very reminiscent to the first fight where, like, he didn't want to kill his kid, you know? And he doesn't want to kill Stakis. He had the perfect opportunity before this.
Yeah. And Stakis runs himself into the knife and then lets himself drop, which forces the knife up into his sternum. And he dies.
He basically says, like, forgive me for I know not what I do, you know? And kills himself. Oh, my God. And then everybody crumbles. Yeah, the creation hits the ground and shatters.
And now it's time to get out. They get back down to the docks, and people are coming after them. Yeah. And Sigrid is like, you two go. I'm going to make my last stand.
And I lost it.
I was not okay.
Sigrid sacrifices herself so that Clara and Istvand can get away. No, it's so sad, and, like, it's so sweet.
It is.
And it's just, like what people do for their family, and, like, how they created this, like, family structure.
God, Melanie, you're gonna make me cry.
I'm sorry, but think about it. Like, all of these nuns are the cast-offs of their society, you know? And then they get sent to this convent, and they become each other's found family. And, like, Clara, the whole book, Clara is doing exactly what Sigrid does, only a little bit more successfully, you know, like, with a paladin on her side. Because she's like, whatever happens, I have to stay on this road and protect my sisters. And, like, and Sigrid. I'm so sorry. Why am I a basket case lately?
Oh my God, Melanie.
But the way that Sigrid is just like, no, you're healthy. You can find happiness. You have the chance to find happiness. I'm going to take my broken leg and keep them off for as long as I can.
Oh my God. Okay, we get it. Jesus fucking Christ.
So they did.
I did not need to be emotional like this going into the quote I'm about to fucking read you.
I'm so sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. I'm just like, what the fuck, Melanie?
So they're like, grab a rope. They tie it to Clara's neck.
Whoa!
And then
Hold the fucking front back.
I'm gonna sit the fuck down.
Sit the fuck down, man.
Yeah, you take over.
Because they get down to the dock, and it's dark, and it's cold, and he's human, and he looks at her, and he says, Clara, I can't swim in this. No. Even if I could, I won't know where to go. They'll have put the bonfire out by now. They can't afford to wait. Probably. Do you trust me? said Clara.
God, that's right.
Istvan looked at her. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Istvan looked at her, then at the dark water, then at her again. Do you trust me? She asked again. He opened his mouth, and what came out was, I believe I'm madly in love with you. Did not expect to say that. It's true, though. It's true, and if I die, I want her to know that I loved her, that she was more than worthy of it, that all those times I never fell in love, it was because I hadn't met a woman as strong as she is.
Yeah.
He tore his eyes away from the water to meet hers and waited for her answer. That's very nice, said Clara, sounding a touch exasperated. But do you trust me? And he says, I trust you, but I can't make myself jump. And she says, you don't have to.
Oh my God. Just really quickly, I know that was like a romantic moment, but it really, that moment sort of reminded me of the melody before and then the melody after having kids. The melody before would have been like, what a romantic moment we're in. Oh my gosh, let's take 3 minutes to like kiss and celebrate our blood. But parent melody is like, that's really nice, but I need you to answer my fucking question so we can do the thing we have to do. Thank you so much.
One time my response, and maybe this is definitely says a lot about me and my own personal traumas regarding woes of love. Somebody I was dating told me that they loved me. And I went, oh.
Oh no, that was it? One syllable, oh? You didn't even say like, thank you?
Thank you?
Oh no,
yeah,
you did.
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do know that my first initial reaction was just, oh.
This is news that I didn't know about.
I was
until
not
this
prepared
moment.
for this. And like,
that's really cute.
That's not something you can't really. It's hard. It's like it's fucked up to fawn a love declaration, you know, where you're like, yeah, I love you too, you know.
Yeah, no, you definitely the
like,
freeze is better than the fawn in this one for sure.
Yeah, I was just like,
And he's going to give her shit for this later on, and it's kind of wonderful.
I have that quote, so don't worry about it, Melody.
Good.
Back so soon? Oh no, what happened?
A little incident at the dog park. We gotta head to the vet.
Oh, not again. These bills.
We can use CashNet USA. We can apply in minutes, get a fast decision, and have the money in the account as soon as the same business day. All right, Cheddar, back in the car.
When you need money fast, be the hero. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times. See CashNetUSA.com for more details.
Everybody sleeps, but no two people sleep alike. At Coop Sleep Goods, we celebrate the way you sleep differently. We believe everyone deserves a great night's sleep with their own pillow. And the adjustable, customizable Coop pillow makes it easy. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or even a starfish, we've got the perfect pillow for you. Crafted with our innovative memory foam and microfiber fill, our hypoallergenic pillows adjust to you, not the other way around. Just tailor the fill for the perfect fit. Add some in, take some out, until your pillow's just right for you. See why luxury hotels and spas worldwide feature Coop Sleep Goods and why we have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. With our 100-night risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose, except those sleepless nights. Get 25% off your first order when you visit coopsleepgoods.com/comedy. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/comedy.
So they get a rope, they tie it to the bear's neck, and then they tie it to his wrist. And she nudges him off that pier, and then she goes in.
They launch into the water, and while they're in the water, he thinks to his last thought as the darkness closed over him was to wonder, because he's delirious because of the cold.
I mean.
And his last thought was to wonder where his God was and why he could no longer feel him.
Oh.
And I was not okay.
No, this whole last 15% was soul destroying and rebuilding.
And then, listener, they make it there. She gets him out of the water. She is doing the little punchy punch on the chest.
She ends up with a hangman's rope burn, though, because she turns into Clara and she can't take off the noose that is basically around her bare neck. And so now, like, Clara
He falls on top of her. It's a whole thing.
Oh, my God.
And then she's like, wake up. And then guess who fucking shows up? Doc, Mason, and Tolly. They work with the white rat. And he's like, you really should have just told me that you worked with the rat, you know? Like, this would have been easier.
So much easier.
And then, listener,
mm-hmm.
we wake up in a little while, and when Istvan wakes up, really, said Istvan, his voice somewhat muffled by female flesh, I fear I've gotten used to waking like this. You may be stuck with me. Clara's shot bolt upright, spilling him onto the floor. Istvan, you're alive! He squinted up at her. Did you think I was dead? Were you doing something strange with my corpse? I just love him so. He's so irreverent, and I love
it.
him.
Mm-hmm. So then they start snuggling, and he gives her shit. He's like...
He says, I had been thinking, you know, if you're going back to your convent, Domina, you could maybe use a couple of mercenaries or on the trip, or perhaps even to help you figure out how to, you know, raid-proof it. And she says, mercenaries or paladins? And he's like, I suspect that I could arrange both. And she says, are you sure you want to? I've already dragged you all over the countryside into pit fights, nearly drowned you. He shuddered. Fortunately, I don't remember a good deal of that last one. Just being cold and holding on. You know, you must have been terrified. I know you hate water. Do you know? I wasn't. I knew if I held on long enough, someone would come for me. And it was you. And she says,
oh, no.
You know, you said something to me right before we went into the water. Did I really?
Wait, can you repeat that part? I think you schmirgled.
You know, you said something to me right before we went into the water. Did I really? She peered into his face. Do you not remember?
Wait.
I do seem to recall bearing my soul to a woman who said, what was it now? Oh, God. Clara untangled her fingers so she could put her face in her hands. That's very nice, I believe she said. And she's like, I wasn't expecting it.
I mean, yeah, I was in the middle of something.
It was so cute. And then they do confess their undying love to each other.
And they're together. And ladies of the St. Ursa, nuns of the St. Ursa, don't get married. They're not allowed to get married. But they are allowed to have life partners. And so Istvan does go back to her convent with her, and they live there forever.
Listener, Melody is headcanoning. Oh, unless you know that because you've read book 3 and 4.
Do we not know that right now?
No, it literally, the last line is because he says, well, there were a few things going on. Would you like to try again? And she says, can we? Domina, he said, his voice serious, but his eyes dancing. I am quite hopelessly in love with you. Oh, good, she said. I'm in love with you too. Very much so. He kissed her then, and she kissed back, and eventually Doc Mason thumped on the roof to yell that they had better not be canoodling in his wagon, but neither of them minded at all.
Oh.
And book Melody. So what's your headcanon?
No, my headcanon is they go back to the convent and he mercenaries for them, and he is unavailable for other projects because he and his bear lady are bear ladying around.
Hey, listener.
That's my headcanon.
We might be able to Sherlock Holmes that the headcanon Melody just put forth is, I'll put it this way, it's not one that she could have ever told T. Kingfisher before the 3rd and 4th books.
There's no
out,
proof of
you
that.
know?
There's no proof of that. So, yeah.
I suspect
anyway.
because, how do you describe it? Because lawyers?
Yeah, because lawyers.
Yeah.
Wow, I fucking love this book. I do not know when the 5th one's coming out, and I'm kind of upset about it.
I'm also, like, I loved this book. I very much enjoyed this book.
Yeah.
I've read book 1 and 2. 1 so far is my favorite.
Really?
I loved book 1.
Yeah.
But also, like, in what world do I not love a book where the character knits her socks and he has lots of opinions about knitting.
The hero in book 1 is a knitter.
And how much of a pain it is to get blood out of wool.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really can't, just in case you have to do a fight. I have so many quotes from book 1.
Later on, I think it's in this book, maybe, but he's talking about Stephen and Grace's relationship.
Are you talking about
the stool?
When he says this? Istvan wished Stephen were here now. Stephen took the weight of the world on his shoulders and never complained, which would occasionally be annoying, but also useful when things were spiraling out of control. On the other hand, he was terribly bad at talking to women. Fortunately, he had fallen passionately in love with an odd little perfumer, the same one who had mixed up the scent vials to help track the smooth men. Istvan quite liked her. She wanted to spend the majority of her days locked in her workshop and then come out and be with Stephen and then go back to her workshop. Right before he'd left the city, Stephen told him that she had moved a second chair into the workshop so he could knit in the same room with her, which, judging by Stephen's reaction, was a declaration of affection unmatched in modern times.
Yes!
Yeah, I read that and I was like...
They're just, like, body doubling. It's so cute.
But also, like, I'm definitely a Grace. Like, if I've stated before that I'm not
around.
Yes, and also, like, I'm a very territorial, possessive person, and so, like, if this is my space, and I do my thing in my space, you're gonna have to be pretty fucking special to be allowed in that space when I'm doing things. And frankly, Stephen, you're invited. You're invited.
Yes.
Grace and I would never work simply because we would never leave our respective rooms. We'd see each other in passing. We'd be ships in the night.
For sure. Yeah.
I'd give Stephen a stool. To be fair, Istvan is too entertaining. He's not allowed to have a stool. He would distract me.
Yeah.
But I would love to have him or Clara, frankly. They're both fabulous. I would love either of them to be waiting for me when I got out of that room. You know? Actually, frankly, I think that Clara and I would work really well because she's a little traveling salesperson.
Yeah.
Or like traveling merchant. And so she's gone for a couple of weeks at a time. That sounds fantastic.
And Istvan is probably going to go with her to, like, you know, carry her clothes and...
Oh, see, I was thinking if I was in a relationship with her, I'll stay at home.
Oh, I was putting you in a poly relationship with both of them.
Oh, that's fine too, actually.
Okay,
I
sure.
will throuple it out with these two. Because they'll keep each other entertained when I just can't. But they'll also make me leave my little room, you know?
That's right. They will,
Oh, delightful.
All right, Sabrina, what is your lady love?
My lady love is, as y'all know, I'm a programmer by trade, and I am specifically a web developer for a company, and I have been working on this project for forever, and there has been, like, since I started, and it's been up and down, and there's been lots of holdups, and then, boy, my lady love is actually that this morning, right before we started recording, I got a text message from one of the users that said something that they did, that because I had to pull the site down. It was in beta testing, and then I had to pull it down for like a month.
She had to pull all the stitches out.
Yeah, I had to frog a bunch.
And requilt it.
I had to frog a bunch of the website and then, like, put it back together again. And it went back up this week. And I got a text message saying that he did a really complex thing and that it worked, very importantly, flawlessly.
Wow.
Man, my lady love is just getting a super specific compliment, like just or like recognition for something that you've worked really hard on, and it's not like direct, hey, you did a great job. It's this, like, yeah, the thing is, I don't even know how to you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like that.
And it's funny because the word choice was perfect too. It's one thing to be like, oh, it worked perfectly. That has a lot less punch than it worked flawlessly.
Yeah. Like it was just, so my lady love is just like really like embracing compliments. Cause like, I'm going to be honest, a couple of years ago, I would have second guessed the hell out of that. Sure. I would have been very flattered, but I would have been like the imposter syndrome would have popped up and been like, hey, they're just saying that, you know, like it's not actually that good kind of thing. And like, I'm going to be frank, I've really embraced that statement of do it with the confidence of a mediocre white man. And boy, I'm going to take that fucking compliment and I'm going to run with it. You're right.
Love it.
I built a great fucking website.
You're
welcome.
That's right. It does super hard things.
And it's only going to get better from here, baby. Anyway, yeah. So hi, I'm a badass. So maybe my lady love is actually not letting your imposter syndrome get the worst of you.
Love it.
I don't know. Just this whole situation is just flawlessly.
I mean, delicious.
All right. What's your lady love, Mel?
My lady love is very dumb, and boy, is it gonna be just so obvious to 98% of listener. But just in case there is a melody out there, hey, do you have something you only want to have on for a certain amount of time, listener? If so, there are USB strips and stuff that you plug in to the plug in the wall that you can put on a timer by itself. Did you? Wow.
What did you?
This newfangled bullshit. Oh my God.
What did you put on a timer?
Well, I was having to get up at a certain time and go to bed at a certain time so that I could turn on and off the sun for my seedlings. Okay? And Michael noticed this pattern.
Wait, turn on and off the what for your ceilings?
Sun for my seedlings. I had to turn on the grow lights. Yeah. And so he saw me, and like he saw me a couple of times be like, oh, Joe, fuck. I'm 2 hours late on turning on this freaking. And he was like, why don't you put them on a timer? And I was like, well, I don't have timer lights, Michael. Okay, do you want me to spend like $80 extra on lights that have timers on them? That's so bad about it.
No, I'm going to ask you to spend $5 on a plug that has a timer on it.
Worse than that. Worse.
Did you have
I had one in my house.
I like how I said
two in my
like I'm
house.
a part of this. But like, Melody, you are...
I had two of them in my house.
Do you think that people with Christmas trees just like, and Christmas lights, turn them on and off manually?
Are you shitting me right now?
Oh, you do. You do think that... Oh, okay, never mind.
That's one of the reasons... Stop it. That's one of the reasons Christmas lights are so much work. Christmas trees are so much work, Sabrina. You have to remember to Oh no. Why have I been doing everything on hard mode for my whole life? I am not living in the future.
I'm just going to I will say that I knew about timers, and I also do Christmas lights because they're a lot of work.
Okay.
However, or Christmas trees, but also I do have dogs, but regardless.
I'm pretty and I'm funny, and I try my hardest to be kind. That's what I got for ya. Don't ask me to know about easy logistical things.
I'm really channeling the Saint of Steel right now for being like, how do you think people do Christmas lights?
I thought you had to buy specialty things of each thing you have that has a timer on it, because you can buy grow lights that have a timer built in.
You know how we've been complaining about capitalism this entire episode?
Capitalism tricked me.
This is it. That they want you to believe that.
Yes. And that's why I'm here. I'm here on this soapbox, listener, and I'm talking to you.
You are not, none of us are immune to the capitalist machine.
That's right. Don't let capitalism get you in this one highly specific way, because you can time anything that needs electricity. I was just gonna say,
this isn't a highly specific way. This is a pretty, timers change things.
And it's not even that you can be like, it's this one block of time. You can be like, I need it on for 3 hours and then off for 1 and then on for half an hour and then off for 3. Like you can do crazy things.
Let me put it this way.
Outlet timer.
If you have an outlet timer and you don't have a coffee pot with a timer, but one that has a mechanical on button, you can set that timer and that coffee.
Oh my God. So anyway, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love just waking up in between those bazoombas, doing a big motorboat, having a moment to yourself, and just living life in the best way.
We're not going to riff on that. That's it.
That's it.
Love yourself as much as that.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for coming back again this week. Contrary to what we said throughout this entire episode, we'll be back next week with the first book in this series, Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. I hope you're stoked. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by me, Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by the ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. That one small action is a huge way to help the show. If you want to get in touch with us for advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. See you next week.
Surprise bill? Need fast funds? CashNet USA can help. When you need money fast, be the hero.
Apply in minutes at cashnetUSA.com and get a fast decision. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times.
Everybody sleeps, but no two people sleep alike. At Coop Sleep Goods, we celebrate the way you sleep differently. We believe everyone deserves a great night's sleep with their own pillow. And the adjustable, customizable Coop pillow makes it easy. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or even a starfish, we've got the perfect pillow for you. Crafted with our innovative memory foam and microfiber fill, our hypoallergenic pillows adjust to you, not the other way around. Just tailor the fill for the perfect fit. Add some in, take some out, until your pillow's just right for you. See why luxury hotels and spas worldwide feature Coop Sleep Goods and why we have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. With our 100-night risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose, except those sleepless nights. Get 25% off your first order when you visit coopsleepgoods.com/comedy. That's COOP sleepgoods.com/comedy.